Jesus isn't being baptized because he has sin that needs to be washed away. He's being baptized because he's stepping into humanity's story. And he's identifying himself with us. He's entering into our story. He's taking it on. He's identifying himself with every one of us, every person who has stood at the water's edge. He's identifying with us. He's identifying with every one of us who experiences failure in life, a wandering heart, broken promises to God. God, I promise I won't do this again. And God brings us through deliverance, and then we do it again. God himself in Jesus is entering into that story. He isn't standing outside of it. Jesus is stepping into the water not because he needs to repent, but because we do. He's doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. And here's the good news. Jesus didn't enter the cycle to teach us how to try harder. He entered the cycle to break it. The gospel isn't try harder. The gospel is rest in the one who made a way. Learn to rest in him, the faithful one, the true son. He became what we could never become. And he carries the story somewhere we could never carry it for ourselves. Because we are all too familiar in this world with earning our approval, earning our spot. If we do the right things, then we get approval. If we jump through certain hoops, then we get to experience blessing. If I do the right things and don't do the wrong things, if I read enough of the Bible, if I pray long enough, if I go to church every Sunday, if I do these things, then God's gonna somehow love me more, or he will love me at all. If I jump through these hoops, then I can be accepted by God finally. But I love from the very moment of Jesus' ministry, it didn't start with him proving himself. It just started with, this is my beloved son, love, in whom I'm well pleased. Approval. You can't do anything, good or bad, to make God love you any less. You can't do anything to make God love you any more. You dwell in the perfect love of a perfect God. And I know that's hard to understand. And it will take your entire life to unpack that and be reminded. Because every one of our relationships on earth, so many are so transactional and so jump through the hoops, but that's not what the relationship with God is like. I hope today was a reminder that Jesus stepped into the waters and he didn't come out and he says, now you try harder. Jesus didn't live a sinless life, die on the cross and raise 3 days later, and then turn around and say, now you do that. He said, I want to invite you to rest in me. And here's the deal. When we come at it from that perspective, we end up longing to live that life. Not for approval, but because we've already been approved. Not to earn his love, but because we are already loved. And so because we're so loved, we just want to live the life Jesus has invited us to live. It's a different mentality to take. Let's remember this. That although we feel like sometimes the cycle will never end, sometimes we feel like we are just like the nation of Israel, this rat race of life. Remember, the cycle doesn't get the final word. Sin doesn't get the final word. Brokenness doesn't get the final word. God gets the final word. Why does God get the final word? Because of what Jesus did. He went through the waters, and then he went through the cross and rose 3 days later. Why? So that sin doesn't get the final word. That's the King we worship. That's encouraging for us.